Good evening. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and thank you for joining me on another edition of Technology Access Television. Well, Chicago's got it going on. That is absolutely true. And one of the areas Chicago's really rocking is in the mobile and marketing space. Yes, along with the legendary firms, the advertising firms of Michigan Avenue, the great marketers from all over the Chicago area, in this arena of mobile, yeah, not only did we invent the cell phone, but we're figuring out how to make it work for marketers at the same time. And so we have developed a real core competency within some of our digital studios that really understand what's in it for business, what's in it for marketers, how to make mobile work to add up to marketing opportunities. And today I'm fortunate to have some of the real evangelists in this arena joining me, coming out of the trenches to bring us the latest and greatest and what to look for in this coming year. And as we have often heard, yeah, people have pronounced this is the year mobile really makes it. Well, this is the year mobile can absolutely make it in regards to effective marketing deployments and marketing strategies. And folks here today can tell us how that has happened and how it will happen as this continuing evolution of mobile opportunity rolls out. Today, my guests are two of, again, the real leaders in this space here in Chicago. My good friend Hugh Jedwill of Mobile Anthem and the guy that started the Heartland Mobile Council. I want to thank Hugh for joining me. And David Jansen. Greg Jansen of Critical Mass.
David was the guy on TV.
Okay.
I get that all the time.
See? Got that Chicago old movie in my blood, but nonetheless, Critical Mass is a very successful firm and work with some of the best clients in the business. But both of these guys do their daily practice right here in Chicago for clients all over the world. Thank you guys for joining me. Well, Hugh, just for those that don't know, tell them a little bit about this thing you started called the Heartland Mobile Council. What is that?
So I came back to Chicago about 4 years ago, and as you know, I came in and I started meeting up with people, including yourself, and I just realized that this was probably the best place for mobile marketing to happen, and the reasons are that we're not San Francisco, we're not the Valley, and we're not even Boston that has all the biotech out there, but what we do have is this Midwest sensibility. And so it's not like you go out and everyone's got the latest gadget. That's not the way the rest of the country is. And in fact, marketers all know that, which is why we have such a confluence of consumer brands, retailers, packaged goods brands. They're all here. The market researchers are here. Agencies such as Critical Mass and others are here. And then if you're a marketer, you know that the quote average consumer is in the Midwest, down in Peoria.
That's right. That's Market City.
So I really think that this place is with the Midwest flavor and work ethic and an understanding of marketing is the place where we are starting to teach people about how do you use this device that everybody has, they're so tied to, that's so personal. How to use this device to reach them, communicate, engage, and market to.
And what's so exciting, again, I can remember sitting around a table with a pizza, just four guys. And it seems like that 4 years has absolutely flown. Yeah. And I mean, there wasn't even an iPad. I mean, that wasn't even thought of at the table when you were talking about what the opportunity was going to be. But I guess you feel vindicated that a lot of what you talked about was going to happen has not only happened, but has happened much beyond many's ability to ride this wild horse because it's happened so fast.
Absolutely. We're in this kind of .com craze again, right? I mean, it's like, and that's part of the reason why I'm here is that I felt like, I missed that. And in fact, I made it just in time for the .com bust. 9 months before is when we created our startup, and then everything dried up. So anyways, I saw this coming, and I said, this is going to be similar, but a wave of things where someone with some marketing knowledge, some understanding of the consumer, how the consumer reacts and engages with brands, that is really the opportunity here. So I'm excited, and it's like vindication is probably not the right word. I'd say I'm happy.
Okay, that's wonderful. Now Chicago, but the interesting, you've taken an educational approach to this.
Yes, right.
The thing that starting this console is you say all of us really are going to have to ride this horse together and kind of learn together and share together. Has Chicago bought into that rationale and recognizing that, hey, this is a brand new, Wild West area. We're going to have to figure out some of the ground rules, some of the metrics, figure out how this whole thing works together. Has that been a part of what's drawn people to the council and the reason people are participating in it?
I think so. I look back and when I attended the council events a few years ago before I joined the council, I mean, it was people learning from people, figuring things out that had never been done before.
Exactly.
The only way you're going to learn that is not by reading about it in articles, because the articles don't exist. You're going to have to talk to your peers who are in the trenches. And the council events that have been very well attended and sold out really recently with the interest here in Chicago.
Yes.
It's been great to talk to people who are actually doing work, and that's how you're going to learn and evolve together.
Now, is Chicago at the point where brand managers and people in decision-making positions now get it, that they're saying mobile has to be part of my strategy? I'm not, this is not just something to kind of play around with or have fun, or I'm going to have an app, but I really want to incorporate this in a meaningful way to create customer engagement and traction.
Well, I wouldn't say that they get it, because I honestly, I don't even know if we get it.
Yeah,
so
it changes so fast.
So what I would say, though, is that it has gotten past the point of being a flash in the pan. And because every conversation nowadays has some sort of nod to mobile in some sense. You can't go to any conference without having mobile being talked about in some way. You can't open the paper any single day of the week anymore without having some large news about mobile or a company or something else that's happening. So I'd say that what people are seeing is that the realization that everyone's carrying these computers in their hands nowadays, and it's a very personal device. It's always on. It's always with them, and we get separation anxiety like Greg has right now without his phone.
On the set. So. You know, I think a point on that, and you talked about the year of mobile at the beginning of the show. There is a magical number that was sort of crossed at the end of last year, and that was 50% of the U.S. is now carrying a smartphone, of people who are carrying phones. So well over 50%, it's approaching 60%, and it's going to continue to go much higher over the next couple of years till we get to the typical penetration, which is 80–85% of any technology, cable, television, radio. So, but that magical 50% number of smartphone users that we crossed at the end of last year, that's one number people can hang their hat on, and really it's really gotten people's attention in terms of, wow, I have to make sure I'm doing something as a marketer on mobile.
I have a good friend of mine, Cheryl Pearson McNeil, who works for Nielsen. And one of the things that's been interesting about that number is people like Pew and Nielsen have pointed out that some demographics are over-indexing for their popularity. And I never will forget, I happened to win some tickets to go to a Fantasia concert, and I was there, and all of a sudden I see all these people, and I look around, and it's like the whole audience has got phones out, video, and here I am with my non-smartphone, and I say, I better get with the program. I said, what are these people doing? And people were videoing, they were posting, they were doing all kinds of things, and I said, the adoption of this technology is really something. And so I guess that's been a big number, as well as now people are, in their second iteration of having these devices. And then, of course, the tremendous growth of Android. So as marketers try to grapple with this, what are some of the core conversations that are needed to really develop effective efforts for mobile engagement within the marketing challenge? What are some of the things that they have to start with?
Well, I guess there's two different approaches, and I take the first approach, which is we just get them started. That's so much of it is just saying let's do something, and you can sit around talking about that for a long time, and I know we've both been there, and at some point you say, look, you know what, enough conversation. It's like maybe we won't ever get the strategy right down this first time, because that's what everyone
wants. So let's put a toe in the water. Let's make something happen.
Let's dip the toe in the water. Let's see how your consumers react, and then we'll take it from there. And the beauty of it really is that it almost doesn't matter what you do. It's going to be successful, as long as you don't oversell it.
Start simple. The idea of starting something simple with mobile, throwing something out there, you'll get reviews. For example, if you do go ahead and create an app, you get instantaneous reviews back through the App Store that you can look at, and people will tell you, I want this feature, I don't like this feature. So Hugh's right. Just getting started, making a few small steps, and seeing what your consumers, your customers for your business want is a great place to start.
Now, in that app controversy, there were a lot of people that said, well, okay, I've got iPhone, I've got Android, and it took a little while for people to really respect Android. Some people are still out on that as they think about that. But now I see the savvy marketer is saying it's not about the platform. It's about I want to be available for my customer. So I'm not picking winners or whatever. I'm going to try to make the best experience I can on whatever platform and let my customer decide. And so then some people say, well, aren't apps old-fashioned? Shouldn't I just have a mobile-friendly site?
Yeah.
Shouldn't I have a responsive site? Shouldn't I go HTML5? And so some people are predicting the demise of apps just when we're at the point of getting some apps that are worth something.
It's hard to say. So you bring up the word responsive, and what that means is a site that looks good consistently from a small mobile device through tablets and onto a desktop site. Really, from a technical person, from a person who builds websites, it's the ability to build it once and sort of have it scale automatically. And that's really become a buzzword. I think in 2013 that's going to be huge. And
of having a responsive site.
A quote responsive design site. So something that go ahead and invest. It's the classic where you can invest a little more in something in the beginning of the process to have something that's going to serve you a lot longer versus trying to build a separate mobile or separate desktop site. So responsive design, as you mentioned, is going to be a huge thing as the web moves to mobile in 2013.
Yeah. And then when you think about what, that of course is a huge advantage of mobile web, the responsive design aspect of it. But then on the other hand, you have the core, I'd say it's firepower of a native app. And the firepower of that native app really gets you through a lot of additional data crunching, whether it's graphics or sound and video or data crunching, period. All that on an app is going to be a much better experience than on the mobile web. So really what the decision is as you said earlier, where are our consumers? The smart marketers all go to where the consumers are, wherever the conversation is, either physically or digitally. And so they think about it and they look at the market space and say, okay, are consumers, are they on the iPads? In some cases the answer is a resounding yes, and other times it's a resounding no. But most cases it's sort of in the middle. So now what you have is, do you need to have an iPad strategy? Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you are a retailer, you probably do, just by nature of what people are doing on those devices.
And now we're getting these, we started out with the 10-inch screen, and now we have the 7-inch screen.
Yeah.
Then you see people, and when people are pulling some of these things out of their pocket, I'm like, what are they pulling out of their pocket? I mean, a 5-inch screen, a 6-inch screen is pretty amazing.
Hugh and I were chatting one time about that continuum of screens. We started with the iPhone, 3.5-inch diagonals being standard up to the desktop. And with the release of the iPad mini and the 7-inch Android tablets and the large, what they call the phablet, phone plus tablet, put the words together. The Samsung Galaxy Note 5.5-inch screen. Hawaii, the phone company, just said they're announcing a 6.1-inch phone. So
it's crazy.
So there's a continuum of screen sizes, and people are. What that means really is that desktop has moved not just to screens in your pocket, but touch screens.
Now one of the frustrations of mere mortals is they don't want to get caught up chasing these trends. Can they make some money along the way? Can they make an investment and get a return on that investment so they can make another investment? It seems like sometimes technology will just keep it just out in front of you. It just seems like you're always spending money, but when do you get the payback?
We're at that magical price point for consumers with $200 tablets, decent $200 tablets from Google, and Kindles from Amazon that are great tablets for the consumer, great places to start. iPads for $300. For businesses making content, making their websites available for those devices, that's really the key. Is thinking, where are my consumers? As Hugh says, how are you using your own product or services or consuming information?
And the metrics is. And I think Hugh touched on it. Well, you've all touched on it. Like I know the guys, we both know the guys that started the company Grubhub. And they started out just like everybody else building an e-commerce website.
Right.
And then within almost 16 or 18 months of getting up and running, they're like, wait a minute. And one of the founders told me, he said, Bruce, the only way I use my own product is on mobile. Whenever I'm ordering something, if I'm not ordering mobile, I'm not ordering. So then people have all of a sudden found, just like Facebook, that 50% of their interactions are coming from mobile. Twitter has found that out in their short lifespan. So then can small businesses, big businesses, get a return on their investment from a mobile strategy so that let's say whatever they're spending on creating their web presence or their engagement presence, can they get a payback? Can they get a return on that? Can they count where the cash register has rung because of the investment they're making, not just because they have to do it as the price of admission?
Well, let me give you a caveat first. There's a lot of marketing spending going out there where there isn't the payback isn't clear. So back in my P&G days, I spent $3.5 million on this spring break thing. So we had a pimped out 50-foot two trailer and a whole spa zone for the Venus brand, and we were doing stuff with MTV, and it was seriously a lot of money to go after our consumer. And we didn't have a solid ROI on that, but what we did do is, just like any good marketer does, is they measure, and you create a system of measurement that allows you to justify the spend vis-a-vis the investments you've made in the past. And that's where mobile, you can continue to do that with mobile. As we know, it's like one of the most measurable tools out there. It has so much data almost that it can be too much for people to really know. So to really get to for the way that a smaller business might operate, you do want to get closer to the actual ROI number. And you can do that. Mobile is such an immediate response device. Let's say you're a Panera, or even a smaller, like the Donut Vault. You've been up there, and all the lines out there. So they tweet out what they have left to people. But if they wanted to say, hey, we've got 12 racks of maple glaze donuts. The first 10 people.
If you don't get over there in the first 2 seconds,
first 10 people to get here, and you get people to sign up. I'm like, I'm going to sign up for that. And you get that message right away, and the immediacy of it brings people in right away. And you can even simpler than that, like a parking garage, right? How many times downtown for a meeting you need to find a place to park? Just if you could have access to that information, like where the spots were available.
Now that's a really exciting concept that you brought up, because that's the intersection of things that were never really before possible.
Right.
And now the infrastructure is there.
Right.
So when you talk about a small business leveraging a Twitter or Facebook, now instead of going off, having to create an app and having to do all of this, they can actually leverage the huge multi-billion-dollar investment of 4G and Wi-Fi and all this stuff by just being smart about leveraging the mobile functionality of these apps. And that's hard for sometimes people to understand. And I guess big brands understand, because I guess big brands are probably very spooked about social media, because they said, hey, this is a media that bites back. I'm used to putting an ad out there and telling people like it is, and here's the people got nerve to talk back to me. Don't they know I'm P&G? You can't talk back to me. And now people are talking back.
But the classic example was McDonald's had where they put a hashtag out there on Twitter, and it was supposed to be one thing, but the people on Twitter turned it into something completely opposite. So yes, those types of things happen all the time with big brands. Getting pushback or something unexpected from social media. Now the smart brands are embracing that. And when I say social related to mobile, social and mobile absolutely go hand in hand. The majority of consumption is happening on mobile devices. That instant action happens on mobile devices. When we send out, some of the clients send out text messages, 90% of those text messages are read within 10 minutes.
Right.
It's amazing numbers.
Yeah, which is why you can do things. Like we know that we send a message out, we can actually impact your behavior at that exact moment in time. Because of how quickly people read the message, because it is a personal connection in a sense.
Right.
Like you're offended. Have you gotten a spam text before?
Oh yeah.
Did you get upset?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're offended. It's like someone invaded my space. So
the first thing I'm trying to figure out is how to send take my ass off your list so I never get this again.
Exactly. So you get it all up in arms about it, and people should. It is a very personal thing. But then what that means though is that if you are a brand, whether it's a small business, a cafe on the corner, or a big large brand, and you can figure out what your consumer wants and when they want it, you can give it to them right away. So if you can, like my friend who has a Italian cafe, if she ordered double the amount of pasta that she should have, and then she can have a 2-for-1 special, she can send it to people and say, good for today. And it gets out to everybody, and she sends it out, say at 4 o'clock, just when people are starting to think about what they're going to do for dinner. now you're making some real-time decisions and impacts, and you're getting your message out to them. And as long as you're not doing that, every other day, people are going to listen to you.
Let's flip up a little bit and talk about, in this emerging arena, is there a new set of skills that are creating opportunities for people who want to be practitioners in this space? So, back to where we started, Heartland Mobile Council was started to help educate marketers on adopting these tools. Are people starting to become skilled and savvy in the language of effective mobile? And is that an arena where people can find employment, consulting, build a practice around? Is this something where young people coming out of the schools can say, hey, I could be pretty good at this mobile thing and make my way in this field?
Well, I think the first.
No, go ahead.
I think the first place to answer your question is the obvious part, which is the app development. There are people, they're not even out of school, they're still in school. So they're creating the next big company in school, right?
Wow.
So that's the more obvious place. I think everyone knows about that. But with respect to the sort of more of the work that Greg and I are doing, looking for people who work more on a marketing angle, there definitely is opportunity, and it's slower than the technology side, but it's growing, and I know that it's growing. I get because a lot of people come to me looking for talent, because you look out there in the listings and you see higher level, more senior level positions in mobile marketing.
Correct.
Or the decisions to hire someone in digital marketing is based upon the fact that they have a strong mobile background. So it is happening. And we're actually the council, the Heartland Mobile Council, we're creating a certification program. Oh, really? Yeah. So this year, it's going to be, we're going to create, it's going to be like an 8-week program. And the beauty of this program is that the people who are going to hire these people are the ones telling us what to teach. Oh, good. So, and they better tell us the truth, because then we're coming back and saying, all right, now send your people to us to get trained. And those skills that you're talking about that are needed, some of them are innate. The millennial generation, is
growing
digital
up with
natives,
and
many of the younger ones, they've never known life without mobile. but then there are some underlying core principles that you can lay down underneath that that everyone needs to have to be successful, and those are the things that we want to teach. The things that we do in our events, our seminars, like we had a mobile couponing seminar at Critical Mass this last year, and that was a very successful event. And we saw a whole gamut of people there.
So how do people become involved with the council? What is the main way that anybody can attend one of your workshops, or if they want to learn about mobile, if they want to get skilled in best practices and the latest tools and techniques, they can go to your website, and do they become a member, or they just start seeing events they want to participate in and start going?
Membership is kind of an outdated idea, so we don't really have membership. We want to reach as many people as possible, so we don't need to worry about, is it our members or your members. But so the way they do is they just come to our site, they sign up for our emails, or they text Heartland to 401-411 and get our text messages to them. And they come to our events, and through those events they meet people like Greg and other thought leaders on other agencies, technology side, to the brands themselves. We see them all. In fact, 75% of our audience are either the brands themselves or agencies.
There's so much information out there, I think, in terms of, we talked earlier about just doing something mobile, getting that first step, taking that first step. There's just so much. Do some reading. And if you're a consumer, if you have that smartphone, if you're starting to consume and use mobile services, make note of what you like and make note of what doesn't work. Just as a user, as you start making those observations, that's a good first place to start. But then there's online learning. Online learning has exploded even through mobile devices in the past few years. So you can take an online course through your mobile, through your iPad. So even getting a couple of those courses, even if they're paid and they aren't actual degrees, but they're certificates or just the fact that you completed the course on your resume is something to have, and I think that would help people get that.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the schools here. You know, obviously we have some of the best schools in the country historically. Northwestern for marketing and business, Chicago for business, Columbia for media and technology, U of I, UIC. Are the schools a part of this evolutionary process as well? Are you finding that in marketing courses and in, you know, as newly minted, you know, marketing majors are coming out the door, are they learning this stuff right out the gate?
I'm, being a Columbia grad, I'm partial to that, but I think one of the advantages, and Columbia and other schools are doing this as well, is taking professionals who are working in industry and bringing them in as teachers. So that's key, I think, into getting that current knowledge, as we talked about, learning from the council, learning from what's going on right now. That's important.
We send a lot of people out to the schools to teach, do like a guest appearance at a marketing class, typically like a digital marketing a class. But education, you know, is by its own nature, it takes time for these things to kind of get through. So what we're seeing right now is the first, you know, big wave of digital marketing certificate programs, right? So, and mobile marketing certification will come with those through the 4 universities too at some point, but it's going to take a little time. In the meantime, you know, you have groups like the council doing some of the things that Greg suggested about just diving in. Those are all great ways to get started early. And I got to tell you, it's such a fabulous time in the development of this industry because anyone can play a major role in it because it's growing so quickly. It's going to be so huge. If you decide I want to be the mobile person that evaluates every cable TV show, you know, if that's your thing, and you just keep on doing it, you do it, and you can make a name for yourself.
You know, I don't know if you can tell it or not, but these guys are a little excited about mobile and marketing. And you know, you should be excited because it's not oftentimes we see this kind of industry formation right before our eyes. And it's kind of hard to know that it's happening, but it is in fact happening. And the good thing is, like Hugh says, it's happening right here in Chicago. So I want to thank my guest today, Hugh Jedwill from Mobile Anthem and the founder of the Heartland Mobile Council, and Greg Jansen from Critical Mass, one of the top digital marketing agencies on the planet that happens to have a very strong operation here in Chicago as well. So if you're out there thinking about mobile for your profit, nonprofit, social enterprise, hey, don't think that mobile is just for, you know, the big guys. Small guys, medium-sized guys, everybody is leveraging their audience engagement through mobile technologies. And a way to find out about it is through the Heartland Mobile Council with meetings and activities, and even you got some e-learning on your site. Last time I looked up, you got some videos people can connect to.
And we're growing bigger. So 2014, we're planning a Mobile University Week to bring everybody here to Chicago.
You heard it first.
Right here on
Technology Access TV. My name is Bruce Montgomery. We're going mobile too. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, all those right on your smartphone. You can probably pull up this show. Maybe you're looking at it right now as you're riding the blue line to the airport. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and thank you for joining me on this edition of Technology Access Television.